Welcome back, everybody, and this is as we left the system last time. As you can see, it still has its AIO sitting up top, and today we are going to put in the full custom water loop. If you're new to the channel, maybe consider getting subscribed down below. I make a lot of new videos every week, ranging from computers to cars to guns to just talking head videos. So if you like a little bit of variety, check them out. There's well over 700 videos on the channel. They're definitely worth a watch. If you saw from the last episode or the last video I did on this computer, I threw it together. It's a 9900KF. That was a donation from Mark. Thank you very much. You're an awesome dude. It's been working good. I've been using that AIO. That's a Thermaltake Water 3.0 240 millimeter radiator. I picked that up in a bundle a long time ago, and I just use it from time to time for different applications such as this one. You'll also notice there's a 360 millimeter radiator there that's not connected to anything. That is on purpose. It is there because it was filling up the space. However, there will eventually be a 480 millimeter radiator, which would be just four 120s. Eventually going to occupy that spot. Today's planning is going to be installing the reservoir, the pump, and the tubing going to the CPU, because I am not water cooling the GPU unless somebody has a 2080 Ti they want to donate to the channel. I would take that with a giddy squeal. In that last video, I said I was not going to be using my Enermax all-in-one water pump because I plan on using this in another build. That wasn't the only reason. The secondary reason is I do not have the remote to the pump anymore, so it's always at 3000 RPMs. And thirdly, it doesn't have enough ports. So I wanted to correct that, as well as be able to mount the cylinder wherever I want to, be it on the fans on the radiator or on the face of the chassis itself. So what we need to do now, even though I just built it, is I need to take the radiators off and take the AIO cooler off. It's not that big a deal. It's all just held in with some screws, but that's the first thing we need to do. As you recall, we're going to be using this barrel water block. Now, I did not realize it when I was getting it that this is actually an aluminum block, and I don't really care for that, but I'm going to run it for now, mainly because I have no real choice. I have to run it this way until I can replace it with something better. Again, donations accepted. Here's another area of contention. Some people say you should just leave the blob on there. Some people say you should use a spreader. The fact that Arctic Silver comes with a spreader kind of leads me to say that you should use your spreader. Also, the purpose of thermal compound is not to make up for heat transfer. It's actually to make sure that you have an even surface between the CPU and whatever heatsink you're using. It works kind of the way that Bondo does, in that it levels out the surface so that whatever goes over it lays flat, in this case, the heatsink. So we're going to grab our barrel heatsink. Make sure you pull off the sticker from the back. Even though this has RGB, I probably won't be hooking it up because the RGB effect on this thing is stupid. So we'll just kind of run it through like that. This is very basic hardware, but it's really all you need. Just some springs and some retention clips. These don't go away. All right. Now what's funny is the barrel is right here, and the intake for the CPU block is right here. I'm actually going to use it that way because I want to come up into the CPU and then out to the radiator. So even though I doubt that's how they meant it, that's how I'm going to use it. Once you have the block started, you want to work in a cross pattern. You don't want to tighten one corner down more than, or one side down more than the other, because that could create pressure issues. You don't want to over tighten it. It doesn't have Phillips screwdriver heads on there, so you can't get a tool on there and way over tighten it. However, I'm still just using my brain to tell me. When you have a nice tight fit like that, you're probably good. Again, I'm not using this RGB header for now, so I'm just going to tuck it up here with the wiring that goes to the CPU power connector. Next thing to do is mount the radiator and the reservoir, so let's get to that right now. So this is not the pump that I intend to finalize with. This is just a cheap freeze mod pump. However, it is rated for 600 liters per hour, and considering it's just going up there to that CPU block, should be more than sufficient. What I need to do is mount it down there, and I'm also going to install a drain down here, since this will be the lowest point in the loop, which will aid in draining it. So next thing to do is mount the radiator, reservoir, and the pump. And I'll be putting a drive up there just to hide that space. Next stage is complete. I did make a little bit of a boo-boo and accidentally threw out what I had left of my Primo Chill LRT tubing, so this piece down here looks a little nasty, but that is very easily remedied. I just need to replace that piece of tube. This is going to be the drain. As you can see, it's at the lowest point of the system. This is going to drain into here. This is the in for there. I need to block off that one. This is going to come up. Yeah, it's going to come up in front, doot, doot into the in. This one's going to come out, doot, doot into that one. This one is going to drop down just a little bit and come in here. So, yeah, I think I have enough 90s and everything I need to make this work. So the next thing to do is continue on and see how far I get. So I'm actually short 4 fittings, which I kind of knew. That's why I ordered some extra fittings off of AliExpress. So until those fittings show up, I guess I'm stuck using some soft tubing, and I'm just going to run a distilled water until it shows up. But yeah, so yeah, I have enough fittings to run a couple of those and then the pump, but I am going to be short a few fittings. So I ordered them. I'm waiting for them to show up. Once they arrive, we'll be good to go. But until then, it's going to have a couple of pieces of soft tubing. I'd like to replace that right away with a piece of hardline, and that with a piece of hardline. That will make this a hell of a lot more rigid. But as you can see though, that's how it's going to mount. And I think it's going to look good, so let's keep going. As luck would have it, I did have enough hardline tubing fittings to make that one a hardline tubing. So the only one that's soft right now is that one and this joint right there, and I will be replacing those as soon as I get my other fittings. I didn't want to use these bright red and silver fittings. In fact, I don't even like that red on the top, but originally I was going to be doing a black and red build and I changed my mind, so I'm stuck with it. I could always take it off and paint it or put some carbon fiber wrap on it, which is maybe what I do, because those are just rings. Those are not actually part of the top. The top is kind of like Singularity. It's got 3-4 filling spots on the top and then a ring that tightens down so you can adjust it. So yeah, I'm running a very plain loop. It's nothing fancy, but I'll have to change a couple of things. Obviously, that tube will change when the 480 comes in. I'll just make a longer one there, going from the 480 down to the res. But I'm also going to put like one of my Samsung SSDs up there to fill that hole. But as you can see, there's plenty of room still for more activities, and if I do decide to water cool a graphics card, I'll have plenty of room there to run the line up from the pump to the card, and then from the card into the CPU. So next thing you do is fill it. Just using water to run some sys prep through it, and then we'll see what happens. Now that it's been running for a while, I've leak tested it and made sure that the tubes are all working the way they're supposed to. I had a little bit of a leak from down here because when I tightened the top, it loosened the bottom a little bit. There are O-rings inside of here because, again, these are fully adjustable for position, and they cause a little bit of a leak, but that's no longer leaking. I ordered a male-to-male fitting, a black one, so that this will then sit on there. That's the only reason why I have a piece of tube in there, is because I don't have a male-to-male, so I'm going to get one of those, and then we just need to drain this, and then I can fill it with the orange coolant. So that's the next step. So you'll see that I did block it off after removing the hose. That is recommended. Even though it does have a ball valve here, there's always a chance that this could move and then it could cause a leak. This is a secondary precaution against leakage. Obviously, when you're going to drain the system, it doesn't matter if it's leaking, but in its current form, I don't want it to leak. So yeah, block it off. It's a smart thing to do. But now we're going to actually put the real coolant in the system. Maybe even get some real footage of it. How about that? For the coolant, we're using, again, Thermaltake T1000 Orange. It's a coolant that is treated so that it will help prevent any kind of growth in the system. And yes, I did make sure there was more than enough room to remove the ram if I need to. That's something a lot of folks make a mistake on. They sit there and they put the tubes way too close to your ram dims, and then you have a problem if anything needs to be repaired. So I ran the tubes as parallel and perpendicular to each other as possible. Again, when that one gets changed out, I'll adjust the way it's standing. It can be straighter. That's a soft tube in the back, so it can't be held right now. That didn't make any sense, but it will when I fix it. So yeah, that's about it. That's the mess I made, but that's about it. If you like this build, give me a thumbs up, leave me a comment down below, send me a link to any builds you've done. I'd love to see it. I will put up pictures of this when it is fully done and fully lit up, and I think you'll enjoy that as well. Until then, hey man, build something, have fun with something, and as always, I'll talk to you later.